Welcome travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is the Bleeding Warpath Sentinel. Now, with this Paladin, you're going to be able to do lots of bleed damage. You're going to move really fast, which is why we're going to put it under the speed running category, because not only are you going to have haste whenever you do a hit, you're also going to have 40% movement speed inside of the Warpath tree, along with the silver rings to have more movement speed on your boots, and you'll have 20% more movement speed with your Devouring Orb, which is just a lot of speed. And as you can see in the gameplay playing right now, you are absolutely just flying through the monos. On top of that, you'll be a complete tank. You're going to have the Wings of Argentus on for 40% reduction of damage. You're going to have capped out endurance with up to 700, 800 threshold depending on blessings and how much you want to put on gear, which you have a lot of spots for it, so you'll have that 60% damage reduction. And then you're also going to have your critical strike avoidance capped, your resistance is capped, and you're going to leech a lot of life. Now the leech on this is going to be taking advantage of the brand new Silver Chalice unique that they brought into the game, which is going to give you 100% of your damage reflected. You're going to have some extra bleed on hit, bleed duration. The key factor though, you're going to leech 2% of all physical damage over time. So all of your bleed damage, you're going to get 2% of that back. And since you're just speed running through monos, you just inflict bleed on things, fly past them, and as they die behind you, you're leeching all of that life, which is just going to help increase your survivability. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, I'm running a Volatile Reversal, Devouring Orb, Lunge, Holy Aura, and Warpath. For Volatile Reversal, I have 3 points in Time Sap, 3 points in Warped Time, 3 points in Catching Up, 2 points in Traveler's Fatigue, 2 points in Ancient Reversal, 1 point in Terminal Void Rift, 3 points in Dark Expanse, and 2 points in Harbinger of Dust. Now, you're not going to really use this skill. I only use it whenever I'm in a boss fight because it does increase your attack speed, and it also automatically pauses Warpath for enough time for you to cast a Devouring Orb. Now, you don't have to use it. You can put something else on your tree, and really the only thing you actually need in this build is Warpath. None of the other skills do you need. You can Warpath from beginning to end, from level 1 to level 100. Actually, you don't get it to level 4, but I think you get the point. You can use Warpath the entire time. You'll have a 0 cost mana on it. You will not need to spec into these if you do not want to. For Devouring Orb, the reason we spec'd into Devouring Orb is it gives you move speed, it gives you global damage. You can get void resist with it if you want. We're not using it for damage. All that I care about with it is that if I want to use it, that I can. You don't have to, but if you do, you will get some extra move speed and some extra damage out of it. I have 6 points in Void Adept, 1 point in Hollow Orb, 4 points in Abyssal Juggernaut, 1 point in Dark Moon, 2 points in Abyssal Rush, 1 point in Cosmic Impact, and 5 points in Sightless Star. For Lunge, Lunge is another skill that you don't have to use. However, it does only cost 1 mana. If you want to put it on auto cast, you can, so that when you come out of Warpath, you can use a Devouring Orb and then lunge to the next target and start Warpathing again. Again, you don't have to use it, but it's one of the skills I would use or keep on auto cast if I wanted to use it. I have 4 points in Into the Fray, 3 points in Tactician, 4 points in Forge On, 1 point in Unstoppable, 1 point in Initiative, 5 points in Avenger's Charge, and 2 points in Deadly Aim. For Holy Aura, again, you get some passive effects with this, so that's why I'm spec'd into it. You don't actually have to actively use it. You do get some of the bonuses for just having it on your skill bar. So that again is why I'm spec'd into it. I don't try to use any of the skills because I don't want the mana cost. You just want to use Warpath. So we have 4 points in Vital Boon for some health regen, 5 points in Shelter from the Storm for some elemental resistance and poison resistance. Now you get this when it's not active. If you activate it, these are doubled, but this definitely helps so that you don't have to put it on gear. You have 5 points in Call to Arms, 4 points in Fanatism, and 2 points in True Strike. And then for Warpath, our main skill, the way we went with this is you have your -10 mana cost, you have 40% speed, and then we have some physical penetration. I have 2 points in Iron Reach, 4 points in Quicksilver Wind, 3 points in Rolling Blades, 3 points in Unchained, 4 points in Unchained on this side, 2 points in Rolling Barrier, and 2 points in Warforge. For passives, I have 33 points in the Sentinel base class with 5 points in Overwhelm, 8 points in Juggernaut, 5 points in Armor Clad, 5 points in Counterattack, 4 points in Banish, 1 point in Gladiator, and 5 points in Blade Master. 15 points in the Void Knight, with 10 points in Abyssal Endurance, and 5 points in Sorrow and Steel. You can definitely put these 5 points into World Eater instead for more of your melee damage leached as health. However, I liked the physical damage just to kind of boost the bleed, but you can do either. I found that your survivability was good enough without needing the extra leech. Of course, this will increase your survivability, so feel free to switch if you're having problems. I have 0 points in the Forge Guard and 63 points in the Paladin, our mastered class, with 8 points in Conviction, 6 points in Defiance, 8 points in Valor, 7 points in Holy Symbol, 8 points in Faith and Armor, 10 points in Penance, 7 points in Redemption, and 9 points in Reverence of Duality. And then for items and idols, now there are quite a few idols that you can use. You can use the 1x4s that come with health on hit. For leech, you can use them with the suffix that have bleed whenever you have high health. You can use the ones we have here with 1x4s that can have physical damage over time as the suffix. They give you increased damage for 4 seconds if you've recently cast the Devouring Orb. And you can use the 1x3s that have the bleed duration and the elemental resistance, so you can stack any combination of these. All of them are going to help the build. And then for uniques on the build, so we're wearing the Undisputed. This gives a huge amount of melee physical damage. Since we're building physical damage anyways for the bleed, you're going to do some good hit damage, although we're not building into crit, so you're not doing too big of hits. You'll be doing between like 500 and 1000 damage on your hits, but it's the bleed damage that you really want. But it's a nice backup just to be able to do some decent hit damage since you're hitting so many times per second anyway. Now the Undisputed also comes with increased melee attack speed, overkill, damage leached as health, and you get 10% more physical damage for each recent hit against a bleeding enemy, up to 250%, which you'll definitely have, especially against rares and bosses. For the other two uniques, we are wearing the Wings of Argentus. This gives us that haste for 1 second on hit. You're doing so many hits, you're going to constantly have that up as long as you have enemies that you're hitting. And then you take 40% less damage while moving, which is a huge boost to your survivability. And then we have the Chalice, which you can gamble the Silver Grail and you'll eventually get it. It comes with 100% damage reflection, up to 50% chance to bleed on hit, up to 50% increased bleed duration, and then you leech a percentage of the physical damage over time that you do, so you're leeching off that bleed. And you get 20 health gained on kill per stack of bleed on the target, so sometimes you'll see that if you're like at half health, your health will instantly jump full because of how many bleed stacks you had on that enemy or enemies when they all died. And then for crafted items, we're wearing the Winged Helm with bleed effect, hybrid, physical damage, and bleed duration. We have endurance and endurance threshold. For the Jade Amulet, we have physical damage, physical penetration, poison resistance, and elemental resistance. For our offhand, we have the Deicide Sword with 100% increased physical damage, 101% damage over time, chance to bleed on hit, and 12 health on melee hit. For our rings, we have the Silver Ring with strength, increased damage over time, health, and endurance. For the left ring, we have strength, increased damage over time, necrotic resistance, and endurance. For the belt, it's a bronze belt with physical damage, dodge for 4 seconds when you use a potion, endurance, and endurance threshold. For the gloves, we have the engraved gauntlets with strength, melee attack speed, armor, and flat endurance threshold. And then for the boots, we have the Solarum Greaves with movement speed, strength, physical resist, and increased armor. For the character sheet, as you can see, we have almost resistances, we're just a little low on the physical. We have 50% armor just standing in place, and then for our damages, you can see we have just over 500% physical, which this will go higher as you hit an enemy with stacks of bleed on it. And then for our defense, we have our critical strike avoidance. We have our endurance at almost 60%. Your endurance threshold is at 618. Both of those will get increased as you get blessings that will make them go higher, especially if you do the empowered new timelines. And then for our other stats, you can see that we have 163% chance to bleed, and our bleed damage is just over 1500, which is going to get a huge boost when you cast the Devouring Orb. It jumps to almost 2000, which is huge. And then for the skill rotation and how to play the build, now like I said, you can literally just use Warpath. You don't even need everything else. You can sit here with just Warpath and zoom around, and you'll notice that once you get that haste with the hit and with the movement speed, you are absolutely flying. We are just going in circles. We're getting dizzy here, and you can see your damage. You can get up to 30,000 damage ticks without casting any other skills and just with bleed. And remember, that means that you can just zoom through, and as you hit enemies, you'll get that haste and you'll fly even faster. Okay, if you want to play with Devouring Orb or Lunge or Reversal, Reversal is something you just cast whenever you want, especially if you plan on staying in the same space, like if you're doing a boss. I never really use Holy Aura, but if you want to, you can. Lunge and Devouring Orb you can put on auto cast, and once you put those on auto cast, you can use Volatile Reversal to auto proc them. So I can just sit here and use Warpath and they're not going to do anything, but the moment that I use Volatile Reversal, I'm going to lunge and cast one. Because they're on auto cast, it's just going to do it because they're held down, and that small window gives them enough time to start their cast. And if you do it that way, you will slowly run out of mana. However, you can easily get that back when you're in between fights on an enemy by just running around for a little bit, and you'll get it back just like we did there. And then of course back, you do get some extra damage by having Reversal going and the other two, and the reason for that is you have more attack speed with Reversal, you have more damage with the orb, and as you can see, we're doing 40,000 damage ticks. It's definitely a bit higher. It's a 25% increase in damage. So let's go ahead and get into some more gameplay.